The municipal courthouse of Oak Ridge County stood like a stern guardian of justice, its weathered stone walls holding decades of untold stories. On this particularly humid Tuesday morning, the courtroom hummed with a low, anxious energy that seemed to crackle beneath the fluorescent lights. Judge Robert Hartley adjusted his reading glasses, his fingers drumming an impatient rhythm on the polished mahogany bench. At 52, he was a fixture in this courthouse. A man who had long ago decided that the law was a blunt instrument to be wielded without mercy or nuance. His silver-streaked hair and razor-sharp jawline spoke of a lifetime spent judging others, his piercing blue eyes missing nothing. Sarah Thompson stood before him, a study in controlled dignity. Her navy blue suit was impeccable, pressed within an inch of perfection, a shield against the vulnerability she felt beneath the courtroom's harsh scrutiny. At 35, she had learned early that appearance was her first line of defense in a world that rarely gave black women a fair chance. The traffic violation seemed trivial, a missed parking meter, a momentary lapse in an otherwise spotless record. But Judge Hartley wasn't interested in nuance. He saw a piece of paper, a technical violation, a moment to assert his authority. "Miss Thompson," his voice boomed, each word carefully enunciated to maximize its cutting potential. "Do you understand the importance of following municipal parking regulations?" Sarah's fingers tightened almost imperceptibly around her leather portfolio. She knew this dance all too well, the performative lecture, the thinly veiled condescension. Behind her professional exterior, her mind raced. This fine could mean her daughter might not get new shoes this month. Her recent divorce had stretched her finances to the breaking point. "Yes, Your Honor," she responded, her voice steady despite the storm brewing inside her. The courtroom felt suffocating. The wood-paneled walls seemed to close in witnesses and other defendants, creating a silent chorus of judgment. A ceiling fan spun lazily, doing little to cut through the thick tension. Judge Hartley shuffled some papers, his reading glasses sliding down his nose. "The violation is clear. A fine of $350 plus court costs." For a moment, the world seemed to stop. $350 might as well have been $3,500 for Sarah. She thought of her daughter's upcoming school field trip, the promised new textbooks, the delicate balance she maintained between survival and aspiration. Her mind flashed back to the morning, dropping her daughter at school, promising her that hard work and integrity always prevailed. The irony wasn't lost on her. Here she was being punished for a momentary oversight, while systemic inequalities continued to rage unchecked. The courtroom's ambient noise, shuffling papers, distant whispers, the occasional cough, seemed to fade into a distant hum. Sarah felt a single bead of sweat trace a path down her spine, a betrayal of the calm exterior she maintained. Judge Hartley's gavel came down with a thunderous crack. "Next case," he announced, already dismissing her from his mind. But Sarah Thompson was not going to be just another forgotten file. Something in her eyes, a fierce, unbreakable spirit, suggested this was far from over. The universe was about to teach Judge Hartley a lesson in humility, in understanding, in the true meaning of justice. Little did he know, this seemingly routine morning would become a pivotal moment that would change both their lives forever. Would you like me to continue with the next part or refine this further? The courthouse steps felt like a battlefield as Sarah descended, the weight of the fine pressing down on her shoulders more heavily than any physical burden. Her mind raced with calculations. $350 might as well have been $1 million in her current situation. 3 months had passed since her divorce from Michael, a pharmaceutical sales representative who had promised stability but delivered nothing but broken promises. The separation had been brutal, not just emotionally, but financially. She had fought tooth and nail for custody of her 10-year-old daughter, Aria, sacrificing everything to provide a stable home. Sarah's phone buzzed, a text from her daughter's school. Upcoming field trip fees. A science museum expedition that Aria had been talking about for weeks. Her daughter's excitement played in her mind like a cruel soundtrack to her current financial struggle. At her modest apartment in the Oak Ridge Terrace complex, reality hit even harder. The kitchen table was a testament to her daily battle. Unpaid bills strategically arranged, a budget spreadsheet open on her laptop, each number a potential lifeline or potential disaster. Aria sat doing homework, her backpack filled with dreams and potential. "Mom," she asked innocently, "can we get pizza tonight?" Sarah's heart broke. Pizza was a luxury they could no longer afford. Her job as a mid-level healthcare administrator at Mercy Regional Hospital was stable, but barely enough. Recent budget cuts had frozen any potential promotions, and the mounting expenses seemed to grow exponentially with each passing month. That evening, Sarah made a decision. She would fight back. Her professional network became her lifeline. Late into the night, after Ariad had gone to sleep, she crafted emails, reached out to contacts, explored every possible avenue to offset the unexpected court fine. Her laptop screen illuminated her determined face, a portrait of resilience. The next morning, she dropped Aria at school, her professional exterior perfectly maintained. No one would know about the internal storm. Her colleagues at the hospital noticed nothing. Sarah Thompson was always the model of professional composure. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. Her best friend, Keisha, a corporate lawyer, listened intently over a hurried lunch break. "This is more than just a fine," Keisha observed, her legal mind already analyzing the situation. "This sounds like systemic bias." Sarah knew the game too well. As a black woman in a professional world, she had learned to navigate unspoken rules, to be twice as good to be considered half as capable. The traffic fine was just another obstacle in a lifetime of navigating systemic challenges. That night, she reviewed her options. A personal loan? Too risky. Borrowing from family? Pride prevented that. Each option seemed to close another door, another possibility slipping away. Aria's science project sat on the kitchen counter, a meticulously constructed model of the solar system. Colored paper, carefully cut planets, hours of dedication. Sarah saw more than a school project. She saw her daughter's potential, her future. This find would not define them. As midnight approached, Sarah made a decision. She would prepare for the upcoming executive position at her hospital. She would network. She would prove her worth beyond a simple traffic violation. Little did she know, the universe was about to orchestrate a remarkable twist of fate. Her laptop screen displayed an upcoming job interview, an executive position that would change everything. And Judge Robert Hartley was about to become a pivotal, unexpected character in her journey. The game was about to change. Would you like me to continue with the next part or refine this further? The executive suite of Horizon Healthcare Solutions gleamed with a sterile perfection that matched the company's reputation. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city's skyline, a testament to corporate power and ambition. This wasn't just an interview. It was a gladiatorial arena where careers were forged or destroyed. Sarah Thompson arrived precisely 15 minutes early, her navy blue Tahara suit a carefully chosen armor. Years of professional conditioning had taught her that in the corporate world, black women must be flawless, not just good, but exceptional. The reception area was a study in corporate minimalism, glass, chrome, and an intimidating silence that seemed to evaluate every candidate before they even spoke. A young receptionist with a perfectly pressed white blouse looked up, her fingers poised over a sleek digital tablet. "Miss Thompson." The name was more of a statement than a question. Sarah's grip on her leather portfolio tightened imperceptibly. This wasn't just another interview. This was her lifeline, a potential escape from the financial quicksand that had been consuming her life. The interview panel consisted of 5 executives, a mix of seasoned veterans and younger rising stars. Their eyes were predatory, searching for any sign of weakness. At the head of the table sat Richard Brennan, the chief operations officer, a man known for his ruthless decision-making and impeccable track record. As Sarah began her presentation, the room seemed to hold its breath. Her slide deck was a masterpiece of strategic thinking. Healthcare efficiency metrics, cost reduction strategies, patient engagement models. Each slide was a carefully crafted argument for her potential. But this was more than just a professional presentation. This was her life story, encoded in corporate language. She spoke about her journey, a single mother who had climbed the healthcare administration ladder through sheer determination. Each statistic, each strategy was personal. Her voice carried the weight of every late night spent studying, every sacrifice made for her daughter Aria. Midway through her presentation, Sarah noticed something unexpected. One of the panel members, a stern-looking man with silver-streaked hair and piercing blue eyes, seemed familiar. There was a flicker of recognition, a moment of tension that only she seemed to notice. Judge Robert Hartley. The realization hit her like a thunderbolt. The man who had coldly fined her just weeks ago was now sitting on her potential employer's interview panel. The universe, it seemed, had a twisted sense of humor. Sarah didn't miss a beat. Years of professional training had taught her to maintain composure under any circumstances. If anything, the unexpected presence of the judge made her more determined, her presentation more sharp, her arguments more compelling. Richard Brennan leaned forward, his interest clearly piqued. "Ms. Thompson, your approach to healthcare administration is unconventional." It was neither a compliment nor a criticism, just an observation that hung in the air like a challenge. Sarah knew this was her moment. She wasn't just presenting a strategy, she was presenting herself. Every word was a calculated move, every gesture a demonstration of her potential. The other panel members exchanged glances. Something was happening in this room, more than just a standard interview. It was a moment of professional alchemy, where past and present, personal and professional were about to collide. Judge Hartley remained silent, his eyes never leaving Sarah. The man who had once wielded a judicial gavel was now a witness to a performance he could never have anticipated. As her presentation concluded, the room was charged with an electric anticipation. Something extraordinary was about to happen, and neither Sarah nor Judge Hartley had any idea how profoundly their lives were about to change. "Would you like me to continue with the next part or refine this further?" The silence that followed Sarah's presentation was thick enough to cut with a knife. Each member of the interview panel seemed frozen, processing the extraordinary presentation they had just witnessed. But the real drama was unfolding in the subtlest of interactions. Judge Robert Hartley's fingers gripped his pen so tightly his knuckles turned white. Recognition dawned in his eyes, a slow, uncomfortable realization that the woman who stood before him was the same person he had so callously fined weeks earlier. Sarah, consummate professional that she was, betrayed nothing. Her posture remained impeccable, her gaze steady, though internally, her heart raced like a turbocharged engine. Richard Brennan, the chief operations officer, broke the silence. "Ms. Thompson, your approach to healthcare efficiency is remarkable." The word hung in the air, loaded with potential. A junior executive, a young woman in her early 30s, leaned forward. "Your data on patient engagement metrics is groundbreaking. How did you develop these strategies?" Sarah began to speak, her voice calm and measured. Each word was a carefully constructed bridge between her professional expertise and her personal journey. She spoke of challenges, of single motherhood, of navigating systemic barriers with nothing but determination and intellect. Judge Hartley couldn't look away. The woman before him was nothing like the nervous defendant he had encountered in his courtroom. This was a powerhouse, intelligent, strategic, absolutely commanding. The interview continued, but an undercurrent of tension remained. Every time Hartley looked at Sarah, memories of their previous encounter flickered like an old film reel. The courtroom, the fine, the dismissive tone, the moment seemed to replay in slow motion. During a brief Q&A session, one of the panel members asked about her greatest professional challenge. Sarah's response was calculated yet genuine. "Overcoming systemic barriers isn't just a professional challenge," she explained, her eyes momentarily meeting Hartley's. "It's about proving your worth in spaces that weren't designed for people who look like me." The statement hung in the air, part challenge, part revelation. Richard Brennan leaned back, his poker face impossible to read. "Interesting perspective, Miss Thompson. As the interview progressed, the power dynamics in the room began to shift. What had started as a standard corporate interview was transforming into something more, a moment of potential redemption, of unexpected connection. Judge Hartley found himself increasingly uncomfortable. The woman he had once viewed as a mere case number was revealing herself as a complex, brilliant professional. His previous judgment felt increasingly hollow, increasingly wrong. Sarah knew exactly what was happening. She had seen this moment countless times: the slow recognition, the uncomfortable shifting, the realization of unconscious bias. But today, she was in control. During a break, as coffee was served and notes were compared, Sarah approached the water station. Judge Hartley found himself standing beside her, the proximity creating an electric moment of tension. "Miss Thompson," he began, his voice slightly uncertain. Sarah turned, one eyebrow slightly raised, a masterclass in professional composure. "Judge Hartley," she responded, her tone neutral, professional, giving nothing away. In that moment, volumes were communicated without a single additional word. A challenge, a recognition, a potential reckoning. The interview panel continued their deliberations, seemingly unaware of the profound human drama unfolding before them. But Sarah and Hartley knew differently. Something extraordinary was about to happen. The scales of justice and fate were about to be rebalanced. "Would you like me to continue with the next part or refine this further?" The boardroom felt like a pressure cooker of unspoken tensions. Sarah's presentation continued to reverberate through the room, each slide a calculated demolition of preconceived notions about healthcare administration and leadership. Richard Brennan, the chief operations officer, began a deep dive into her background. What he found was far more compelling than a standard corporate resume. Sarah's file told the story of relentless determination, a single mother who had completed her master's degree while working full-time, who had implemented cost-saving measures that had saved her previous hospital over $2.3 million in operational expenses. Judge Hartley found himself increasingly uncomfortable. The woman he had once reduced to a traffic violation was proving to be a strategic genius. Each professional achievement was a silent rebuke to his previous hasty judgment. During a particularly intense moment of questioning, Sarah shared a pivotal story from her career. 3 years ago, she began, her voice steady and powerful, "I discovered a systemic inefficiency in patient intake processes that was costing our hospital nearly $500,000 annually. Nobody believed a mid-level administrator could solve this." The room fell silent. She continued, "I developed a comprehensive digital workflow system that not only reduced processing time by 67%, but also improved patient satisfaction scores by 42%. The junior executives exchanged impressed glances. Hartley felt a growing sense of something: admiration, shame, a complex cocktail of emotions he couldn't quite name. Sarah's presentation was more than a job interview. It was a masterclass in breaking down barriers, improving worth beyond superficial judgments. Her personal story began to emerge between the professional achievements. Growing up in a working-class neighborhood in East Cleveland, raised by a single mother who worked 3 jobs, scholarships, late-night studying, the constant battle of proving herself in spaces that were never designed for her success. Statistics show that Black women receive fewer opportunities in corporate leadership, she explained, but statistics are just numbers. What matters is what you do with those numbers. The room was captivated. Judge Hartley found his previous worldview crumbling. The woman he had once dismissed was dismantling systemic barriers with surgical precision. His judicial career had been about enforcing rules. Her career was about transforming systems. A poignant moment came when Sarah spoke about her daughter Aria. "Every professional achievement is a lesson for her. I'm not just building a career, I'm building a legacy." The interview panel began to see beyond a potential employee. They were witnessing a force of nature. Richard Brennan leaned forward, his typically stoic expression showing genuine intrigue. "Miss Thompson, your approach is unconventional." Sarah's response was immediate. Conventional approaches maintain the status quo. I'm here to challenge it. Judge Hartley watched, transfixed. The power dynamics had completely shifted. The courtroom where he once held absolute authority now seemed like a distant, irrelevant memory. Her final slide was a powerful statement, a graph showing minority representation in healthcare leadership with a single red line breaking through the traditional barriers. It wasn't just data, it was a manifesto. As the presentation concluded, the boardroom was charged with an electric anticipation. Something extraordinary had just happened. Sarah had done more than interview for a job. She had put systemic prejudice on trial, with data as her evidence and her entire life as testimony. Judge Hartley realized he was no longer the judge in this room. She was. The universe, it seemed, had a profound sense of irony. Would you like me to continue with the next part or refine this further? The boardroom's atmosphere transformed from a professional evaluation to an almost theatrical performance of human dynamics. Sarah's interview had become something far more significant than a simple job application. It was a moment of cultural reckoning. Richard Brennan, the chief operations officer, broke the prolonged silence. Ms. Thompson, your approach challenges everything we thought we knew about healthcare administration. His statement hung in the air, laden with potential interpretations. Was it a critique? A compliment? The fine line between professional assessment and genuine respect blurred in that moment. Sarah recognized the delicate dance. Years of navigating corporate landscapes had refined her ability to read between the lines. Her response was calculated yet authentic. Challenging the status quo isn't about rebellion, she explained, her voice carrying a nuanced blend of confidence and strategic humility. It's about recognizing that innovation comes from understanding systemic limitations and creating solutions that transform those limitations. Judge Hartley watched, mesmerized. The woman he had once reduced to a traffic violation was now dismantling complex organizational paradigms with surgical precision. A senior panel member, a distinguished white-haired executive, pressed further. Your metrics are impressive, but implementation is everything. How would you actually execute these strategies? Sarah's response was immediate. She pulled out a detailed implementation roadmap, complete with projected timelines, potential challenges, and mitigation strategies. Each slide was a masterpiece of strategic thinking. Risk management isn't about avoiding challenges, she explained. It's about anticipating them and creating adaptive frameworks. The room was no longer just listening. They were being educated. Midway through her detailed presentation, Sarah subtly referenced her previous court encounter, not with anger, but with an eloquent commentary on perception, justice, and human potential. Sometimes, she said, her eyes momentarily meeting Judge Hartley's, our greatest limitations are the assumptions we make about each other. The statement was a verbal checkmate. Judge Hartley felt something profound shifting inside him. This wasn't just a professional evaluation. This was a live demonstration of everything he had misunderstood about opportunity, potential, and human worth. Richard Brennan leaned back, a rare smile playing on his lips. Unconventional had just become exceptional in his professional vocabulary. The interview continued, but the power dynamics had fundamentally transformed. Sarah wasn't just a candidate. She was a narrative-changing force. During a brief break, the panel members huddled, their whispered conversations creating a low, intense background buzz. Judge Hartley remained conspicuously silent, his previous judicial confidence now replaced by a profound sense of something between admiration and humility. Sarah maintained her composure. Years of professional training had taught her that true power wasn't about loud declarations, but about quiet, confident competence. Her daughter Aria's face flashed in her mind. Every professional moment was a lesson, every achievement a potential pathway for future generations. As the interview approached its conclusion, the room felt charged with an electric anticipation. Something extraordinary was about to happen. Sarah Thompson had done more than interview for a job. She had put systemic prejudice on trial, with her entire life serving as evidence. Judge Hartley realized a fundamental truth in that moment. True justice wasn't about enforcing rules, but about recognizing human potential. The universe, it seemed, had orchestrated a profound moment of redemption, and neither Sarah nor Hartley had any idea how dramatically their lives were about to intersect. Would you like me to continue with the next part or refine this further? The boardroom's tension could have been cut with a knife. Sarah's interview had transcended a mere job application and become a transformative moment of professional and personal reckoning. Richard Brennan signaled for a private discussion among the panel members. Sarah was asked to wait outside, her composure unbroken despite the high-stakes moment. In the hallway, she checked her phone. A text from Aria. "Good luck, Mom. You've got this." The message was a reminder of everything she was fighting for, not just a job, but a future of possibilities. Inside the boardroom, a heated discussion erupted. "She's extraordinary," whispered a younger panel member. Judge Hartley, surprisingly, became her most vocal advocate. "Her strategic approach is unlike anything I've seen," he said, his previous judicial rigidity completely dissolved. The irony wasn't lost on the other executives. The same man who had once coldly fined her was now championing her candidacy. Richard Brennan studied Hartley carefully. "You seem particularly invested in her candidacy." Hartley's response was revealing. "Sometimes we judge too quickly. Ms. Thompson represents exactly the kind of leadership our healthcare system needs." His words carried a deeper meaning, a public acknowledgement of his previous misconception, a professional redemption. Meanwhile, Sarah waited. Years of professional conditioning had taught her that true power often resided in patience and composure. The deliberations continued. Each panel member reviewed her extensive portfolio, a testament to years of hard work, strategic thinking, and relentless determination. Her implementation strategies for healthcare efficiency were groundbreaking. Algorithms she had developed could potentially save hospitals millions, improve patient care, and create more equitable healthcare access. Judge Hartley shared a detailed analysis of her professional achievements, his judicial precision now applied to highlighting her exceptional capabilities. "Her approach isn't just about numbers," he explained. "It's about human-centered systemic transformation." The younger executives were captivated. Here was a senior judicial figure completely reimagining his perspective, challenging his own previous biases in real time. Outside, Sarah received a text from her best friend Keisha. "You've got this. Show them who you are." The boardroom door opened. Richard Brennan's expression was unreadable. "Ms. Thompson," he began, "we'd like to discuss the next steps of your potential employment." Sarah's response was measured. "I'm listening." What followed was not just a job offer, but a comprehensive discussion about her potential role in transforming the organization's approach to healthcare administration. Judge Hartley watched, a silent witness to a moment of profound professional and personal transformation. The conversation wasn't just about a job. It was about breaking systemic barriers, challenging preconceived notions, and creating pathways for future generations. Sarah's daughter Aria had always been her primary motivation. Every professional achievement was a lesson, every success a potential pathway for future opportunities. As the discussion progressed, it became clear that this was more than an interview. It was a cultural moment, a demonstration of how professional excellence could transcend racial and systemic barriers. Judge Hartley felt a profound sense of personal transformation. The judicial perspective that had defined his entire career was being fundamentally reimagined. Sarah Thompson represented something more than a potential employee. She was a narrative-changing force, a professional revolutionary who didn't just challenge the system, she redesigned it. The boardroom became a crucible of potential, where past prejudices melted away, replaced by a vision of truly meritocratic professional opportunity. And at the center of it all was Sarah, unbreakable, strategic, and absolutely unstoppable. Would you like me to continue with the next part or refine this further? The aftermath of Sarah's interview rippled through Horizon Healthcare Solutions like a transformative wave. What had begun as a standard job interview had become a profound moment of institutional and personal reckoning. Richard Brennan called a private meeting with his executive team. Miss Thompson isn't just a candidate, he declared. She's a strategic asset that could redefine our entire approach to healthcare administration. Judge Hartley, still processing the day's events, found himself reflecting on decades of judicial practice. The woman he had once dismissively fined was now poised to become a key strategic leader in a major healthcare organization. The official job offer came with unprecedented terms, not just a senior executive position, but a mandate to redesign patient engagement and operational efficiency strategies. Sarah would have direct access to the company's top leadership, with resources to implement her groundbreaking approaches. Her first call was to her daughter, Aria. "We did it," Sarah whispered, her voice breaking slightly. Aria's excited squeal filled the phone. "Does this mean we can finally get pizza?" The moment captured everything: struggle, hope, triumph. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of transformation. Sarah's first executive meeting was nothing short of revolutionary. Her presentation dismantled existing operational models, introducing data-driven strategies that promised to save millions while improving patient care. Judge Hartley, invited as a consulting advisor on a healthcare governance project, found himself working alongside Sarah. The irony was not lost on either of them. During one late-night strategy session, the past finally came to a direct confrontation. "I misjudged you," Hartley admitted, his voice heavy with genuine remorse. "In the courtroom, I saw a case number. Here, I see a visionary." Sarah's response was measured. "Judgment is easy. Understanding is hard." Their professional relationship became a powerful narrative of personal transformation. The judge who once wielded a gavel against her now championed her strategies in boardroom after boardroom. News of their story began to spread. A local journalist picked up the narrative, a tale of unexpected redemption that captured the imagination of the entire community. Horizon Healthcare Solutions saw unprecedented growth. Sarah's strategies weren't just effective, they were revolutionary. Patient satisfaction scores soared. Operational efficiency reached new heights. Her daughter Aria became her greatest inspiration. During a major conference, Sarah shared her journey, a masterclass in perseverance, strategy, and hope. "Success isn't about proving others wrong," she told a packed auditorium. "It's about creating opportunities where none existed before." Judge Hartley, sitting in the audience, felt a profound sense of personal transformation. His decades of judicial practice were being re-examined through a lens of empathy and understanding. The financial impact was significant. Within months, Sarah's strategies had saved the healthcare system millions, created more equitable access to healthcare, and challenged systemic inefficiencies. But the true victory was more personal. During a family dinner, Aria looked at her mother. "Mom," she asked, "did you really change everything?" Sarah's smile was a testament to resilience. "We changed the world, one opportunity at a time." The traffic fine that had once threatened to derail her life became a footnote in a much larger story of triumph. Judge Hartley's perspective had completely transformed. The rigid judicial mindset had been replaced by a nuanced understanding of human potential. Their story became more than a personal journey. It was a powerful narrative of systemic change, of breaking barriers, of finding understanding in the most unexpected places. The universe, it seemed, had a profound sense of poetic justice. Would you like me to refine or elaborate on any part of this final section?